Okay, in this video, we're looking at Chapter 2, Section 4, and we're adding integers. This is Part 1, which means there's going to be a Part 2, but if you're looking for Part 2 video, you clicked on the wrong video. Okay, so this is, of course, you have the St. James heading at the top, as always, and then you write Chapter 2, Section 4, adding integers, and again, this is Part 1, so keep yourself organized. Okay, what I need to tell you in the very beginning is adding and subtracting integers is going to be with you from now 7th grade all the way through high school. So you've just got to know and understand how to add and subtract integers. So today we're going to do adding integers, and I'm going to give you two different ways to look at it because some people understand it better one way and other people might understand it better a different way. So I'm going to give you two examples and then we'll go from there. So first, I'm going to show you what I mean by just simply adding integers. An integer is a positive or negative number. So that's why I'm saying integers. I'm not just saying adding numbers. That's what 2nd grade does. We're adding integers. Integers are positive or negative numbers. They can be either. And we're going to use a number line to really explain and to demonstrate what adding integers looks like on a number line. Give you the concept of a number line. Okay, so for example, we're going to start with adding integers with the same sign. So I have -3 plus a -2. When I say adding integers with the same sign, I mean that 3 has the same sign as 2. They're both negative. Both are negative numbers. Okay? So, this is what I do with the number line. I'm going to start at 0. Okay? And I'm going to go to -3 because that's my first integer, a -3. Now it says add -2. Okay, well, I'm at -3 now. I'm going to add -2. So I'm going to go 1, 2, because it has the same sign. I'm going to add -2, and that gives me, let me move this over, that gives me what? -5. So you're always, always, always welcome to use a number line. You can write it at the top of your test or at the top of your workbook page or whatever. You're always allowed to write on a number line. Make a number line, draw a number line, use that because it might help you. And we circle our answer. So let me show you, that's using a number line. Let me show you another example and I'll give you the rule and then, my method. Okay, so let me give you another example. If I have -10 plus, we're adding a -4. And these little parentheses are just a highlight. It's just a FYI, hey, as a reminder, that's a -4. So your book does that. A lot of tests or entrance exams do that. The parentheses are there just to remind you that that's a negative number. Okay, like a highlighting thing. So I'm going to use my number line again. Okay, and I'm going to start at 0. And I'm going to where? I'm going all the way to -10. Okay, going to -10. Now, I'm going to go from -10 and do what? I'm going to add 4 more, but going negative. Still going left because left is negative. So I'm going to go 4 to left, and that's going to give me what? I ran out of number line, but that's going to give me what? -14. So my answer is -14. Okay, so let's look at the rule. The rule for adding integers with the same sign, and again, if I write it down, you write it down. The rule is the sum is positive if both integers are positive. The sum is negative if both integers are negative. That's the rule. So if the sign is the same. So again, I had -3 plus a -2. The signs are the same. And if they're both negative, like 3 and 2 are, then you're going to have a negative answer, -5. Okay? If I use a different example, if I have 6 plus 8, the signs are the same, and both are positive. Again, if nothing's written here, they're positive, so then the answer is positive, and it's +14. So if your numbers are both negative, then your answer is negative. If your integers are both positive, then your answer is positive. My method is very simple. Clean up the messiness. And again, I'll show you what this means using the same example. -3 plus a -2. I call this messy. And you know me, I do not deal with messy or chaos. So clean up the messiness. That's what I said. And I cheer it. Clean up the messiness. Get into it. Here we go. What does that mean? That means I want for every integer to have one sign or one operation. And I'm saying this because in chapter 3, we're going to solve equations. And it's going to be a lot easier if you're used to having one sign or operation with every integer. So what does that mean, one sign? Well, -3, that's one sign. And when I say clean up the messiness, adding a negative is the same thing as subtraction. So you -2. So I have one operation for every integer. So I say clean up the messiness. It's one rule. I have one rule. Clean up the messiness. And I use this number line to show you what I mean. We start at 0 still. We go to -3. Okay. Then I'm going to subtract 2, just like I did before. 1, 2. And I still get the same answer of -5. But I've cleaned up the messiness. It just makes it a little bit easier and a little bit neater. And so there's less signs or operations running around. I find that to be less of a confusing thing for people. Okay, so you'll see me say clean up the messiness. If the rules work for you, then use the rules. They're not wrong. I just find that, especially when we get into chapter 3, cleaning up the messiness makes solving equations a lot easier. Okay, so you'll see me use that method, but again, whichever method works for you is fine. Okay, so now let's try another example just to make sure we're on the same page. Okay, so if I have -14 plus, again, I'll use parentheses to again highlight or just to emphasize the negatives. That's all it means, just emphasis. Okay, that's my step 1 to write the problem down. Step 2 is I'm going to clean up the messiness right here. So adding a negative means subtraction. So I'll do 14 minus 16. We're still going the same direction. I'm at 0, and I'm going to go to -14. And you know I'm going to run off this number line. So I'm at -14. Okay. Well, you know which way am I still going? I'm off the board, but I'm going to keep going that way to negative what? -30. So that's why I say clean up the messiness. Clean up the messiness. Okay. Clean up the messiness. All right, let's try another one. Here, let's try 23 plus 38. 23 plus 38. You can always still use the number line. This one, the number line is not really helpful because it goes off the page. But you would picture when we go 23, we're going to go positive to 23, way out there. Okay, but 23 plus 38, again, that's what, second or third graders can do. And I know you got this. You're like, really, sister? Seriously? But just to practice, 23 plus 38 is going to give us 61. The signs are still the same. If there's nothing written here, remember, it's a positive number. So signs are the same. And as the rule says, if the signs are the same, then your answer is positive. And if the signs are the same and they're both positive, then your answer is positive. And we're going to get into what it looks like when signs are different. Here's an example. Here's the rule. Yes, write it down. Here's the rule for when adding integers and the signs are different. Pay attention. Now the signs are going to be different. We're going to have positive and negative. All right, so the rule is, there are 2 rules here. 1, the sum is positive if the positive integer's absolute value is greater. Again, I'm going to show you what that means in a minute. And you know what absolute value is. Okay, because we did that already. All right, so it's if the positive integer's absolute value is greater. Okay, and then it's going to be, the sum is going to be negative if the negative integer's absolute value is greater. Okay, or you can use my rule and just say clean up the messiness. Again, that's my rule. That's how I do it. I don't care which one you do. You're still writing everything down. So if I scroll too fast, pause the video and write everything down. again, let me give you an example. Okay, so adding with different signs. These are adding integers with different signs. What does that mean? All right, here's 6 plus a negative 7. Now 6 is positive. 7 is negative. The rule would say you find the absolute value of each number. All right, the absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of 7, negative 7, is 7. So the negative 7 has a greater absolute value, so your answer is going to be negative. Your answer is going to be negative. And it's going to be negative what? Well, let me use my number line to help us. Again, we start at 0 and we go to positive 6. Here I am at positive 6. Now I'm going to add, but add a negative number. So I'm actually going to go backwards. I'm going to go negative 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my answer is negative 1. Okay, in Sister Carolyn's rule, you still have 6 plus a negative 7. Okay, and I say clean up the messiness. I'm just going to write messy. So what I'm doing is I'm doing 6 minus 7. Because when I add a negative, I'm just subtracting, which is what you saw there. We went left 7 spaces. So I'm just subtracting. And I'm subtracting what? 7. So I get negative 1. Okay? So you'll see that I'm going to refer to the messiness, but if you like the rule, go with the rule. It's okay. Just doing equations later, you're going to have to clean up the messiness anyway, but just know there are 2 different ways of looking at it, and you're going to get the right answer either way, but cleaning up the messiness might be a little bit more streamlined for you. Okay, let's try another one. So let's try negative 2 plus negative 15 plus negative 2 plus 5. And you're like, whoa, that's a lot. Again, we're just going to clean up the messiness. Clean up the messiness. Okay, so I wrote the problem down first. Second step, clean up the messiness. So I have negative 2, adding a negative, minus 15, adding a negative, minus 2, plus 5. So again, it's just a little bit cleaner. So now I'm going to take it in little pieces. So step 3, what's negative 2 minus 15? Negative 2. This, remember, negative, we can look at negatives as borrowing. So you borrowed $2, and then I'm going to borrow 15 more. Okay, where's my number line? Okay, I'm going to borrow 15 more. So I'm going to bring this down, bring my number line down real quick. Okay, here we go. I know that's pretty cool, obviously. Very cool. So let me move it right here. Okay, so if I have my negative 2, and then I'm going to go minus 15. So I'm going to go minus, whoops, from here, minus 15. Okay, so that means I'm at negative 17 minus 2 plus 5. That's why I suggest rewriting the problem. So now I know I only have 3 integers left. Okay, step 4, I'm going to do these 2. So now I'm at negative 17 minus 2. Negative 17 minus 2, I'm at negative 19 plus 5. Okay, and then you don't have to rewrite this step because you're right here. So it's negative 19 plus 5. Negative 19 plus 5. So you owe me $19. Negative means owe. Okay, and now you're going to give me, you're paying me 5 of them. Are we good? Are we square? No, you owe me money. So you know you owe me money, but how much? You owe me $14. Okay, in that example. Okay, so we did a lot of positive and negative numbers there. Okay, and this video is getting pretty long. So we're going to do problem for next class. Okay, problem for next class. I want you to do a fun one here. Negative 14 plus negative 6 plus 6. Okay? Negative 14 plus a negative 6 plus 6. Okay, again, have that done before you come to class, And I will see you next class.